Hey, this is Jeff with Sunnyland Patio. Today I'd like to show you how to replace the sling on a patio chair and do it the right way. Welcome to our workshop. In order to do this process, we're going to need to have a replacement sling. So what I'll show you is how to measure this so that you can order this online and get it in the right way. We'll first start up at the top rail here. About 2 inches from the top, we'll take a reading, the inside measurement, just where the fabric is showing. So we're coming up just under 19 in this case. And then if I go down to the where the bolt is fastened again back here, and then we take a measurement here, we're coming up to 19 inches. And then down at the lower section, again where it's bolted to the frame here on the arm, we're coming up with 19 inches again. So we want to take the average of that, so we're going to use the 19-inch measurements. Sometimes you will find that there's a little more variation, but as long as it's not more than a half an inch, you know, stick to the average. If you do see a variation that is more than a half inch, order it that way then. Smaller at the top and larger at the bottom and so forth. Also, what you'll need to do is measure the length of the sling, which is going to be taken from up here at the top edge of the fabric. Not this cap that's also on here. Just take it to the edge of the fabric and keep it tight to the rail and all the way down. You know, sometimes it helps if you have an extra set of hands to hold it on there. And so we're going to go walk it down here, coming out to 45 inches. If anything, I would err, you know, 1/8 of an inch longer than shorter, because it's easy to tuck that into the rail. With our new slings, we do provide with new dowels. You also measure these as well too to see what size they are. You can compare them to drill bits. That's a good way to measure them as well. Most of the time they're either going to be the 7/32 or 1/4 inch, which is the two sizes we offer with our replacement slings. So you'll have the width of your chair sling, the length of your chair sling, and then the dowel size. If you provide those three things, we can get those slings made up and shipped out lickety-split. First, what we want to do is we want to take off these end caps here on all four corners. Simply sliding the screwdriver down into that little crack there and then pulling the cap off there. You want to be as gentle as possible with that process so you're not breaking off caps. We do sell these parts under the end caps on the website as well too. So again, it's just sliding that screwdriver in here and then prying out ever so gently so we're not breaking the cap. Pretty easy to do. I'll also do it up here at the top and on the far side. So we've got our four caps out now. Now what you'll need to do is turn it on its side. It's usually where you can access the hardware. What we're looking to do is we want to take off one of these rails in order to make it so that it's loose and we can slide our fabric out of the track. So in order to do so, you can use a hand hex key like this in this case. Sometimes they're hex bolts. You can use a socket wrench, that's so forth. But I like to use, because we do this a lot, you know, I have a drill set up to do so, you know, with the proper hex head on there already. So what I'll do is I'll just slip that hex onto there and remove that. That's your first bolts out. Generally you'll only see 2 bolts. I'm going to take out the other one over here. Doing that by hand can be a little tedious, but you know, so it just takes a little longer. But all right, and so then by just picking up on that rail, our little braces are going to pop out, and I'll show you how to put these back in at a later time when we're all done. So now that we've got that out, what we can do is set this back up right again, and we'll pull this sling. You want to break it free a little from the rail here. Finish sliding this fabric out. Usually pull them with 2 hands. Again, if you have someone else that can help you, you know, it makes the job a little more simple. So we'll pull that side out of the rail. Right. And then the same thing, break it free from the edge. A lot of times in the where the back meets the seat here, it gets a little more stuck, so that's a good place to get rid of it. And then again, just pull her down break it free. So we're pushing that out, and then usually you can get to a point where you're able to pull it all the way out. Poof! Our sling is made. Now let's get it installed. First thing we want to do is line it up. We want to make sure we have the top of the sling, not the unfinished edge of the bottom, to wind up on the top of the rail. You just want to hold it up in the right way. Have your other rail kind of mocked in the position there. So now that we know that this is the top edge and this is kind of how it'll sit in position, we want to take that and we're going to slide it into this rail. So let's get this rail, the loose rail, off, and then what I'm going to do is hold it and get it started here. I like to give it a little stretch to make sure we can get as many wrinkles out of this center section right here as possible. That's where wrinkles will show up if you haven't stretched your sling out very well. So we've got the one loose rail on. Now let's put it into the other rail of the chair as well here now. And then again, you know, just sliding that into the edge of the rail. A little tricky sometimes depending on the fabric and how big your rail is, but once you get it started generally, and then you just have to feed it and pull it down at the same time. Alright, so then we're going to pull that down to the edge of the frame, making sure we keep it up at the top edge at the same time. So if you have to, you can pull it back or forth, you know, just to make sure you got both edges of the fabric at the end of the rail. And give it that stretch, good stretch, and again, trying to make sure that you don't wind up with a wrinkle on the curve. Well, we've got that done. I always like to give it one last check and make sure my spline and my edges haven't moved, because that's when you'll get finished and realize that you didn't. So we're just checking. I could pull that edge a little higher. We got it, all our splines showing. We'll cut off those edges later. And so now we'll go to tightening down the rail. So not always necessary. We have this sling pretty tight on this one now. Some styles are a little more difficult than others. I like to use this clamp, and then what I'll do is I'll spread this a little bit. It'll help get our bolt started and make that job of tightening the bolt a little easier. Okay, so we're going to put the first bolt in, so we're just going to slide that there, get it to get started a little bit. And then I'm going to take the drill here, and get it in there, make sure I got some good downward pressure. Alright, I can feel that tightening. So we've got our first bolt done. We'll take off this clamp, or the spreader now. Move on to our second bolt. So I'll use the spreader tool again, spread that rail out. Really handy to have this. Not completely necessary. A lot of times you can do it without that spreading tool, but sometimes it's needed, especially later in this job for the spreader bars, those bars that we're going to have to put back in. Alright, now we'll tighten down our second bolt. Alright, that one's good. Take our clamp off. And then what's left to do is we need to put our spreader bars. That's these two braces that go across to help keep it taut in the other places. So first we'll start with this one up on the middle curve section. I'm just going to spread this out then. So now that we have this spread out completely, we're just going to put the end of the brace back into the hole where it was removed. We'll take that, we'll put that one hole in, and then we have the other one on this end, which we'll just set up that brace, kind of hold it in position, and then release the clamp. So that's good, tight in there. So then we're going to put the other brace into the top of the chair. I've got this spread out, and just putting the edge of the brace into the hole, and then on the other side again the brace into the hole. Release our clamp, and we're good to go. Most of the process is complete now. Chair's looking good, nice and tight, ready to sit in. But before we do so, we need to finish off these edges there that we still have loose and get the end caps on. We've got this edge just a hair out. So what I like to do so that it comes right to the edge of the rail is just grab it with those cutters, pull it out just a little bit, you know, maybe almost a 1/4 inch, and then trim it off there. What we can do then is just kind of tap the spline back in. That'll make this actually seal real nice with the end cap. So now that we've got that on, we'll just set the end cap into place and then tap it in with the hammer. Look at that nice finished edge we get on that. Well, our job here is done. Their chair came out super nice. I might even have to steal this one. But anyway, I hope this video was helpful for you there. And we have all of our parts available at the links below. With the end caps, the feet caps, slings, anything like that you need. I sure hope this video was helpful for you there. And we'll catch you next time.